Hey listeners, welcome to episode 16 of Disney Channel original Noobies. I'm Joanna.
And I am Sam.
And we are going to talk about the 2000 movie Alley Cats Strike. So Sam, this was a movie that you had seen before.
Multiple times.
It's basically your favorite movie of all time.
Debatable.
It's right up there with Drive.
Well, of course. I mean, no.
Yeah, it's above Drive.
How dare I slander Drive like that? But yeah, this is a movie I definitely remember from my childhood and was fond of from my childhood. I won't get into what I thought about it yet until we get to the end of it, but definitely one that stood out to me, and I was excited to rewatch it after, probably close to 20 years since I last saw it in 2000.
Well, before we really get into our thoughts and feelings about this movie, I think we should toast. So today, the day we are recording is December 31st. So it's the last day of the year 2020.
Hell of a year.
Oh, you got that right.
Probably the best year of my lifetime.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
I can't think of anything bad that really happened this year.
All right, moving on. Let's cheers to moving on to the year 2021.
Let's do it. And cheers across the room.
L'chaim.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. All right, so for Alley Cats Strike, basically, pretty simple movie and much less. Would you say this movie was less serious than The Color of Friendship?
Just a little bit less.
It was close, though. It's probably the second most serious movie we watched.
No, watching this movie, I think that it had just the tone and the feel. It was very similar to Brink.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. This is Bowling Brink.
Except he's not offered $200 a week.
Right. He doesn't. He's very against taking the money. Well, actually, no. It does have a lot more similarities to Brink the more I think about it in terms of money, too.
Well, they're saving the bowling alley.
Right. We'll get it. Yeah.
Okay. But he's not, joining a professional bowling team where a sleazy guy is like, we make millions of dollars. Here's $200, kid.
But he is selling out some of his morals, sort of.
Yes, he's definitely going towards the cool kids.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
Yeah. We're getting way ahead of ourselves.
So generally the premise of this movie is that a kid named Alex and 3 of his friends are really into bowling. And in the school that they're in, there's a competition between this school and a neighboring school. And it's a big competition where I think it's just all athletic, it seems like. It could be other things. But
yeah, it's the schools East Appleton and West Appleton.
Right. They
are
compete.
Rivals. Yeah.
Yeah. In this competition. And it all comes down to bowling team. Which bowling team is the best? And what do you know? Alex and his buds, who aren't really competitors or really want to be involved in this, are now thrown into the mix. And it really follows their journey into the competition.
Alex and his friends, they really had no interest in what is the Apple Cup, the Apple Trophy?
The Mighty Apple.
The Mighty Apple.
Yeah.
Nice.
How could you forget?
How could I? I'm ashamed.
After seeing that trophy, how could you forget it's called the Mighty Apple?
Of course. So they not only are they uninterested in competing for the Mighty Apple, they really had no reason to think they ever would. The competition seems to mostly be for sports like basketball and football and soccer and more traditional high school sports and not bowling.
How dare you again call bowling a non-traditional sport?
I said,
for all our bowling fans out there, I'm very sorry on behalf of the podcast.
I said non-traditional high school sport.
Okay. Did you have high school bowling? We did.
No, we didn't.
Interesting.
We did have skiing, and you didn't.
Right, because we're not upstate, that's why.
We are geographically downstate, but we still have snow that doesn't immediately turn into gray sludge.
I speak on behalf of the whole audience that anything north of Westchester, anything north of the Bronx is upstate.
Washington Heights is upstate.
My grandma lives upstate. I think we should start off. Let's just get into Alex's group of friends.
Yeah, so they are a quartet.
Yes.
And they're all kind of like vintagey.
They all love the 50s. I think, I don't know if they, I guess they all do.
Yeah. I think Delia is the least into the 50s.
So let's get into them one by one. So
Okay.
you meant Delia, whatever her name is.
I thought it was Delia.
Chris Delia, yeah.
Yes.
So she is very smart and she's good at bowling. That's pretty much all we have about
I thought
her.
she wasn't good at bowling.
I think she's good, but she got nervous. And that's why she doesn't want to bowl.
Oh, see, I thought she just liked hanging out with them, but she doesn't really, like, she bowls, but she's not good at it.
Oh, that's possible. I think that, maybe I was wrong about that. Yeah, that's possible.
We have to rewatch the movie.
So there's Delia. Then there's Ken, who we don't really learn too much about. And he just loves all music that's at least 50 years old. And that's about it.
Yeah, so he likes,
Not much character development for him.
No, sorry, Ken. I'd say you had a good run, but you didn't.
Then there's Elisa, I think they call her, right?
Yes. Is it Lisa or Alyssa?
One or the other. Who cares?
Something.
And she's good at bowling. And she's very stylish and wears poodle skirts a lot. And dresses like she's in like Pleasantville or one of those movies.
Yeah, so she's stylish if she were living in the 1950s.
And who plays this character?
Kaylee Cuoco.
Wild.
So while we were watching the movie, I'm staring at the screen thinking, this person looks so familiar. Like, I think it's Kaylee Cuoco. And I turn to Sam and I go, who is that?
And you didn't say it was Kaylee Cuoco.
No.
You just said, oh,
no,
she looks
I was
familiar.
thinking it. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's Kaylee Cuoco.
But you were kidding.
Totally joking around. I didn't think it was her. I was like, oh, it's some blonde girl with like blue eyes. It's Kaylee Cuoco. And also we've been watching The Flight Attendant recently, so that made me think of it too.
But no,
it's
like, really, I was like, oh, okay. Because I had started thinking that it's Kaylee Cuoco, and then you said it's Kaylee Cuoco. Yeah, I did.
Oh, you looked it up too? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't look it up, and I was just like, oh, I was just messing around. And then I looked it up today, and it was Kaylee Cuoco, which is very funny to me now.
Definitely the most famous person to come out of this movie.
Yes, I would say so, for sure.
Although, so jumping ahead, Todd, who is the star jock in West Appleton, where they all go to school, the entire time we were thinking, he looks so familiar. He has to be in something big. But we looked him up and there's no really big movies that we recognized him from.
Well, there was one. I think he was in Coach Carter, we found. But besides that,
right. He was in Coach Carter.
I think he just looks like Cuba Gooding Jr. is what it comes down to.
Or maybe he just has one of those faces.
Yeah.
Like we probably both went to high school with someone who has a similar face to the guy who plays Todd.
It's definitely possible. And then the main character, I think we mentioned him briefly, Alex, again, loves jazz music, very old-fashioned, and his dad owns the bowling alley in town, which is failing. So that's kind of the premise, which we kind of know 5 minutes into the movie. We meet all the friends and know that's kind of what's going on with the bowling alley.
We follow the main group to school, and we very quickly find out about, I forgot what the trophy is again.
The Mighty Apple.
The Mighty Apple. So we learn that that's at stake. We learn that it's a sports competition. We're introduced to Todd, who again is the jock of the school.
He's like the most popular kid in school, it seems like, too.
Yeah, all of the students, all the teachers, they love him. He's not only the best athlete, but it seems like he's a star student.
His dad's the mayor.
Yes, his dad is the mayor.
And we know that there's a basketball game coming up between East and West Appleton. And if they live in West Appleton, right?
Yes.
If West Appleton wins, it goes to a tiebreaker, the tournament.
So 2 things. One, for some reason, when they were kind of having a pep rally, because the big game is tonight for the Mighty Apple. I thought they were playing football. And then when they cut to the scene where they're playing basketball, I was very surprised.
Oh, that's funny. For some reason, I knew they were going to play basketball.
Probably because you've seen the movie before.
Could be that. Also, could be they could have mentioned it just like offhandedly, something about basketball in the background. But I don't remember specifically.
I mean, they probably did. And then I might have misheard them.
Okay, that's possible. There's also a pep rally. And I guess there are pep rallies for basketball. I don't think there were at my school. It was only football.
We had pep rallies for basketball. We did not have football.
See, you didn't have a team at all?
No.
Okay. See, what I hated was that there were like pep rallies for football, and our football team was absolute garbage. And I played on soccer, which played at the same time as football, and we were like really good. We were 1 win away from going to like the state competition. We lost in the finals I'm from Long Island. We lost in the finals of the Suffolk County tournament. And like we had nothing at all. But the football team that won like fucking 4 games all season had a pep rally.
That's so annoying. Ugh.
I think it's just a football thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. American high school.
Suckers.
Anyway, the other thing that I was thinking. So we know that if West Appleton wins the basketball game, they get the Mighty Apple and it's a tie. But if East Appleton wins, they get the Mighty Apple forever. And I don't think it was addressed until pretty far into the movie that the reason for that is the schools are merging.
Yeah, they didn't mention that until at least halfway through, I think.
Yeah. So the entire time I'm wondering, but why? Why is this the last Mighty Apple competition? I don't get it.
Because Y2K was going to happen and they knew that the world was going to end. But
this isn't a movie about stockpiling canned goods. This is a movie about bowling.
Oh, you missed that side plot?
Did I miss an entire part of the movie?
Remember when they're talking about the back of the bowling alley? About how like certain things are breaking down? It's because there are too many cans of green beans back there.
Oh, okay. This is making a lot more sense now.
Yeah. I can't believe you missed it. It wasn't that subtle. I mean, come on.
I feel silly now. I feel silly.
So Todd, as we mentioned before, he is the star of the basketball team. And they did not a good job of showing the scoreboard at all during the basketball game to know what the score was, who was winning, who was down, whatever the situation may have been. Turns out Todd wins them the basketball game, and it goes to a tiebreaker. And West Appleton, the mayor, and the principal have no idea what the tiebreaker situation is.
Oh, can we just, before we go into the tiebreaker situation, during the basketball game, at one point, East Appleton is up by 1 point. And there's 10 seconds left of the game. And the East Appleton mayor goes over to the West Appleton mayor and is like, we're going to win.
And they don't have the ball.
They don't have the ball. There's 10 seconds left. You're only up by 1 point.
Oh my God. Such ballsy. If my team in basketball is up by 5 with 10 seconds left, I'm still nervous. I'm like, oh, they might lose this game. But this guy was up 1 without the ball. I was like, oh, it's in the fucking bag.
See, I'm not a big basketball person, but I still know that with 5-10 seconds left and you're only up by 1.
It's so much
you
time.
Don't have it in the bag.
If you have the ball up 1 with 10 seconds left, that's still certainly not in the bag, because someone could easily they would purposely foul you. You take 2 free throws. If you make both, it's still a 1 possession game because they can hit a 3-pointer. It means absolutely nothing being up by 1. This is it's insane that he was so confident about it.
All right. Anyway, back to what you were saying.
So it goes to a tiebreaker. West Appleton has no idea what's happening. East Appleton's like, oh, we'll check the charter and we'll figure it out. And they decide that the tiebreaker is going to be a bowling competition between the bowling clubs of both schools. So
jumping ahead to when we see the East Appleton bowling team, I was thinking about the movie Dodgeball and Ben Stiller walking out with his team, like the Cobras, and doing their thing, like the chant with the
Was it the outfits?
I don't know, but something about it. I just couldn't stop thinking about dodgeball while watching the East Appleton bowling team.
Damn, I wish I was thinking that too. I love thinking about dodgeball.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
And all right, so basically what happens is that only people that signed up for the bowling club in the beginning of the year are able to play in the competition. So it's Alex and his 4 friends, or 3 friends, who are the big bowlers in the town. And then we also find out that Todd, the star basketball player, for some reason, I don't think he signed up. Like his dad signed him up. It's not really clear. But he signed up for the club.
I got the feeling that he signed up because he's the star student, clear overachiever, so he just signs up for everything.
It's possible, yeah.
That
but he
was
didn't
my
know.
assumption.
He didn't know that he had signed up.
I mean, he probably signed up.
I mean, after
like,
the fact,
the
when
first,
they told him.
I mean, he probably signed up just like, I'm going to sign up for everything, and then forgot about it.
Sure, but I'm saying at the time,
Yeah.
when they told him, hey, you're in the bowling club, he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, because he didn't remember that he did it.
Right.
Yeah.
So the mayor and the principal are very happy to see that Todd is signed up for the bowling club because they have zero faith in any of the bowlers, but they have tons of faith in Todd to help them win the Mighty Apple.
Which is ridiculous because Todd doesn't know how to bowl, and they don't even have faith in the student whose dad owns the bowling alley.
Yes.
And they've never seen these kids bowl before. They just assume that they're not good.
Because Todd is Todd. That's why.
Still, this is really bad student support. This is bad teaching. This is bad parenting. This is bad everything. And it really sets the tone for pretty much every adult in this movie.
Agreed.
Except for the announcer.
But
the announcer was great.
Oh, he's Sweet Lou?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
10 out of 10.
But it leads to one of my favorite things in this movie, which is a very minor point. So the 4 friends, Alex and his 3 friends, they go to a diner all the time because they love being weirdos who love like the 60s and 50s or whatever. And all the popular kids go to an Italian restaurant called Tony's Lasagna Heaven.
Which I want to go to.
That's the best name of any Italian restaurant I've ever seen in my entire life.
Can we open an Italian restaurant and name it Tony's Lasagna Heaven?
Please. I would love that. Or even Sam's Lasagna Heaven or
no,
Joanna's.
Tony's.
Okay,
Tony's. It has to be Tony's.
It's more Italian that way.
And we'll put a bowling alley in the back.
Oh, man. It was so funny when I first saw that. I don't think you saw it at first. I was like, did you see the name of that restaurant? And they show it like 12 more times anyway, so it didn't matter.
I mean, of course, it's the best part of the movie.
So the next, 20 minutes to 40 minutes of the movie is basically just the team helping Todd, or trying to help Todd get better at bowling, and him being like strong-headed at first about it, and being like, no, I got this on my own. And really, the point of this was twofold. One is that he sees it as more of like a mental thing than like the technique and physical aspect of bowling. And then all the teammates, they see it as more of like a technical thing and no, physical or mental element to it, of like wanting to win, wanting to beat people, things like that. They just sort of like, oh, this is fun for us. And he's like, no, this is a competition. I'm here to win, but I don't care about the technical aspect of it.
And I thought from an athletic point of view, this was a really interesting part of the movie, because if you're going to be a successful athlete, you do need both of those components. So you need to be technically accurate and good at what you're doing, regardless of the sport, but you also need the mindset.
Yes. And I feel like that's a difference in kind of high school sports, because there's some people that could just be good at every sport, and just because they're like more physically gifted, I would say, in the first place, and have the mentality to be good at sports. Like, for example, if like you're like 6'8" and like not really technically gifted in basketball, you're still gonna be really fucking good at basketball because you're so much taller.
You just pick up your hand and put it in the basket.
And also have the mentality to like, oh, I'm getting this ball. No one could challenge you for it. There's no way.
But then once you get to
once you get to college, once you get to professionals, you have no shot. Because if you don't have the technical ability, people will just school you all day. So I really thought that was interesting. Mm-hmm. And definitely high school, I think you could get away with just being physically gifted.
Oh, absolutely.
And not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, but then once, especially if you happen to be recruited for D1 sports and you're competing with and against the best people in the country, that's going to be a wake-up call.
Right. And we know a lot about competing
D1
in
sports,
D1 sports.
Definitely. We're the experts.
Yeah.
D3.
A club.
State school that no one knew there was a sports program.
One other thing I want to point out, not about sports, is that so Alex, Ken, Elisa, whatever, and Dalia, they all love jazz, 50s, whatever music, and Todd loves the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, this was amazing.
Savage Garden and Aerosmith. The best music possible. Which was fantastic.
So I knew that this was my era because when I was around the same age that the characters in the movie are, I too loved Backstreet Boys. More than NSYNC, by the way. Savage Garden and Aerosmith.
And then we get into the kind of the conflict of this movie this is Brink. This is where this movie becomes Brink. Is that so one of the popular girls in school, Lauren, she seems like a popular girl. We don't know much about her background at all.
She needs to lay off a little bit, though. Or you say what you were going to say, and then I'll say why she needs to lay off a little bit.
All right, so we'll go into what you said. Do you think she wanted to fuck the trophy? Because she's obsessed with the trophy.
Oh, see, I thought she was obsessed with Todd.
See, I thought that at first, but then it seems like she's way more excited about the Mighty Apple than Todd.
See, I thought she was excited about the Mighty Apple because Todd was excited about the Mighty Apple.
Oh, see, that's where we found it differently. Maybe this is the female versus male take on this.
Yes.
It seemed to me...
The right versus wrong take on this.
And I'm right.
No.
What it seemed like here was that Lauren really wanted the school to win the Mighty Apple. And then because of that, she was like doing whatever she could to get Todd like super amped into it. And same with Alex at some point, which we'll discuss.
So I thought she was into Todd rather than the Mighty Apple. One, because being into Todd would be a lot less weird than her being into a trophy.
I think she wanted to kiss the trophy. She wanted to go to Smooch Town with the trophy.
And also, she really wanted Todd to go to her party.
Yes. Yeah.
So in every scene that she was in leading up to her party, she asked Todd if he was going to be at the party.
Yes, that's definitely true. I'll give you that. Maybe it's both, to be honest. True or false, she really cared about the Mighty Apple.
She did care about the Mighty Apple. I think that's, a school spirit kind of thing. But I think she was more into Todd.
Okay. They're in middle school, right?
Yes, they are in middle school.
Okay. So at this point, Lauren invites Todd, obviously, to the party. But Todd kind of hints, and then she invites Alex to the party. So this is where the kind of issue comes about, where Alex is going to these things that are more popular and more mainstream, while his friends aren't invited, and it creates kind of a conflict between them. Yes,
and Lauren definitely was only inviting Alex because Alex was hanging out with Todd.
Yes,
I don't think she really wanted him there.
Totally
it was more like oh, you're here when I'm talking about the party, and I'm going to reluctantly be polite and ask you to come.
Right. Like, as we could tell at the party, when she asked Todd to dance, and Todd's like, no, you should dance with Alex. And Alex is like, no. And awkwardly, walks away.
Yeah. I think, better to walk away than to awkwardly dance. I think Alex made the right decision.
I think he should have shot his shot and see what happens. Seemed like he liked her.
Really?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw some sparks there. I think he was just too nervous and awkward.
I thought he liked Elisa.
Well, yeah, I think that too.
Yeah.
But can we all right, let's cut the bullshit right now. Do those two girls look very alike?
Yes, they do.
At one point, I was like, did they cast the same girl for those roles?
That would have been so funny.
And just have them, like, one wearing glasses?
It could have been like, that's my twin sister.
Right. Yeah, it could have been whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it would have been very funny. I was like, they look very similar. I was like, oh, they're not the same. I was like, are they the same person? I was like, maybe not. I don't know. At this point, we hear about this really stupid rule that's implemented into the bowling competition for no reason, except for plot, that there's 4 bowlers allowed. There's 5 on the team, so one can't play, but you allowed 1 substitute bowler at any point during the competition.
And that substitute bowler will then replace that bowler for the remainder of the competition.
Yes.
Just for the entire rule.
Yes. But again, that last part doesn't matter at all. But they had it edited in for whatever reason.
Because they didn't want to make it obvious that it was plot.
It reminds me of like the Little League baseball competition where every player has to play for at least like half an inning, whatever. The one that's like on TV, whatever. And I think it's in Cooperstown, I'm pretty sure. And they have like the worst kid just like, oh, let's sub him in for like an at bat in like the 6th inning. And like he'll play like left field for 4 seconds. That's what it made me think of.
That would be me.
You went to Cooperstown? You were the second girl ever to play in the competition?
Yes.
One of the girls was like fantastic. I can't remember her name. But she was like the MVP of the entire competition. She was incredible.
Good for her.
I think it was like a couple years ago, I want to say. We'll have to look her up. She's great. I'll show you some highlights.
Can't wait.
So Todd and Alex go to scout out the other team. I feel like he doesn't really do anything. I mean, who cares? They say that they're good at bowling.
Yeah, and
doesn't really add much to the
I think
plot.
it also solidifies. I don't know if it solidifies their friendship, but it solidifies their camaraderie.
Yeah. Oh, and also like Todd seems like a good guy.
Yeah, he does seem like a good guy.
He's super chill with Alex. I mean, at some points he's kind of like prickish to the other teammates when they try to help him out.
Yeah, I think that's kind of his competitive nature coming through.
But he's a totally nice guy. He's helping out Alex. He tries to set Alex up with Lauren. Like, he does really like good by Alex. Totally. Like, at no point does he do anything like dickish to Alex.
Right. It's Todd's friends who are dickish.
Oh, they fucking suck.
Yeah.
We'll get into his friends. They're the fucking worst. They're the worst villains in any DCOM we've watched so far. They fucking suck.
I don't know. I think the adults in this movie are worse villains than Todd's friends.
I wholeheartedly disagree. They just got excited about a competition. His friends have no redeeming qualities.
The adults, they constantly put the Alley Cats down, meaning the original 4, not counting Todd. Right. They're very insulting. Both mayors are putting an incredible amount of pressure on these students. I mean, at first it's a bet for pies and cider, which I'm totally down for.
We've they bet the towns of Appleton really big on apples. Shocker.
Yeah. So at first the bet is if one town wins, then the other town owes them their best apple cider. And if the other town wins, then they get apple pies, which that's a fun bet. That's fine. But then it escalates very quickly. And by the end of the movie, the name of the school is riding on these kids.
All right. So the really, really dumb thing about this. So this is the middle school, and we can get into it. So the premise is that they're combining districts next year, which I think you hinted to before. So there's no more East and West Appleton. It's just going to be Appleton, or whatever, Central Appleton, whatever they're going to call it. And could you imagine if you went to Appleton Elementary School, Appleton Intermediate School, West Appleton Middle School, and then Appleton High School? It would make no sense whatsoever. If there was no East, there's no reason not to just have a West. Like, West Virginia. What the fuck? There's no East Virginia, right?
Poor Virginia.
Poor West Virginia. They don't even get their own state name.
From now on, every episode, Sam is going to make a pitch for renaming Virginia East Virginia.
Thank you.
Okay, so the parents and the adults are worse than the students. Oh, even Alex's dad. I mean, he's definitely more chill than the other adults in this movie.
I think he's super chill, yeah.
Yeah, but even he's kind of putting pressure on Alex by, sharing his experiences with the Mighty Apple when he was in school.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we also find out that Alex's dad and Todd's dad, who don't like each other.
Right.
When they were students, they went to the same school, and they were both
Appleton.
they went to Appleton. They went to West Appleton. They were playing, what was it, basketball or football?
Joanna, they were playing baseball.
Baseball.
One was the second baseman. One was the shortstop. The mayor was playing shortstop, and there was a double play. That was going to be an easy double play. He flips the ball to the second baseman, which was Alex's dad, and he dropped the ball. And the mayor thinks that Alex dropped the ball, and Alex's dad thinks that the mayor made a bad throw. And it's a big rivalry that's going on for at least 20 years, it seems like, between them because of this.
Yeah, so we find out about that towards the end of the movie. But before this, for most of the movie, Alex's dad is like trying to get Alex really amped about the Mighty Apple and trying to hype him up, knowing that this competition ruined his friendship.
Yeah, but I think that I liked Alex's dad. I think he was like, while he did do that, I think he was fairly chill about it and was more like, hey, like, you should get excited about this. Like, you're the deciding factor in this. Like, this is a cool thing to be part of. I get that you just, like, want to do bowling for fun, but, like, you're in a cool position right here where you could, like, make a name for yourself in the school and be regarded as, like, a hero, basically.
Yeah, but even before bowling became part of the competition, when they were just listening to the basketball game, he was very into that and trying. I think Elisa was in the bowling alley.
Yeah.
He was saying, like, you should get more excited about this.
Yeah. That's because he was excited. I mean, I get it personally as someone that gets excited about sports, that, it's an exciting thing. And, like, you should feel no shame for being for being
force
excited.
It on people who clearly.
I don't think he was forcing it on. I think a little bit he was saying, hey, this is a big deal, but he was never, I don't think he was forcing it on them.
He talks about it a lot.
Sure, because he's excited. And it's the premise of the movie. That's why that's why I talked about it a lot. They probably didn't talk about it a lot more than they talked about it. They probably had dinner all the time where they ate pizza every meal.
But not with his mom. His mom only has one brief appearance in this movie.
And grandpa.
I actually thought that she wasn't going to. She was just going to be a character that they talk about, but doesn't appear in this film.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention, which doesn't really matter, but at their practice, instead of bowling, they just start doing swing dancing to jazz music.
They were, I believe, swing dance bowling to work on their style.
I don't get it.
It's like when we would play tag during track.
Okay. Yeah. At least you're running doing that, though.
Yeah. Well, they were bowling artistically.
I guess. And so, I mean, I think we mentioned before, but the bowling alley that Alex's dad owns isn't doing well. Literally, we see 0 patrons there the entire time up until we get to it.
Yeah.
And so Todd says, hey, we should throw a party here that you have once a week and call it, well, he doesn't say it. I think it's Delia says it.
Yes, she does.
Says we should call it the bowling ball. And they're like, hell yeah, that's awesome. So they get all these, like, Todd, because he knows everyone in town, gets all this free shit, like lights and balloons and whatever, fanfare. And they set up a bowling ball to have a party at the bowling alley to help him out, which is super, super cool of Todd to do.
It was super cool of him. And really what he did was invented cosmic bowling.
Yes. Oh, man, I miss those days.
I do miss those days,
like
too.
The black lights.
Yeah.
And see, you didn't have this, but we had a thing, we talked about this, where when I went to bowling camp, because, like, both my parents worked during the summer. So, like, on days they had work, they would just send us to a bowling alley for, like, the whole day. I don't think we ever talked about this, actually.
No, and suddenly I'm realizing why you're so good at bowling.
Well, not often. It was on,
I thought you were just a Todd prodigy.
No. So, like, President's Day, when they were both working, or whatever the situation may be. Or, like, my mom worked in a school. So if she had to go to school one day, my dad didn't have off for holidays because he just worked at a business. Me, my brother, and my sister, we sent to this bowling camp, and there would be a thing where there was like one pin that was a different color, like light yellow or green or whatever the situation may have been. If the pin was really randomly put into the stack of pins, I don't know how it works. And if that pin was the first pin, and you got a strike when that pin was the first pin, I think you got a free game of bowling or something like that. It was a really shitty bowling alley. There was two
But that's
bowling
a pretty good prize.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, it was very cool. And you get excited, like, oh, there's so much pressure when that happens. And that's all I could think about while watching this movie. And then bowling alley shut down and became a TD bank. So, you know.
It really worked out for them.
Yeah.
I used to have bowling alley parties when I was a kid, in addition to the roller skate parties, which I believe we have talked about previously.
Love the bowling parties.
Had a few year run with the bowling alley.
Right. See, I never went to, I'm sure I did, but I personally didn't have roller rink birthday parties. I just did. I definitely had some bowling parties for sure.
Well, I mean, you were a pro bowler and went to bowling camp, so that's not surprising.
So I bowl once a year. Well, I used to. Withdrawn. I bowled once a year because the law firm I worked at, every year, their holiday party would be going to a bowling alley because they were very cheap. And whoever got the highest score got like $200, whatever it was.
And that was pretty sweet.
Oh, it was awesome. And I bowled once a year, and it was just at that holiday party, which we had 3 years in a row. And at each of those parties, I got the high score. So I won $200 all 3 times. And that was all I did in bowling, was just bowled once a year. And I was just like, a natural at it. And I bowled like a complete idiot. I'm a righty. And what you're supposed to do is stand on the right side and curve it to the left. I would stand on the left side and the ball would curve to the right. I don't know why. That's just how I always bowled.
So what you just said, I didn't know.
You don't know where you're supposed to stand when you bowl?
No,
you're supposed to curve
I didn't go to bowling camp.
They didn't teach us bowling.
I'm not a professional bowler.
It was like a babysitter, but you could just fucking throw a ball to an alley. It wasn't like we didn't learn how to bowl there.
Sam is a professional bowler. He was in the U.S. Open.
I am professional because I did make $600 over 3 years bowling. And that was my holiday bonus.
Everyone else gets a $1,000 bonus, but the winner of the bowling competition, your winnings is your bonus. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, back to the movie, though. So we have some foreshadowing where Alex sets it up that Todd has to try a 7-10 split. For people that don't know what that is, it's when the pin in the back left and the pin in the back right or left, right in the back right are remaining.
The farthest pins in the back.
It's the hardest thing to do in bowling is to get both of those pins for a spare. And he keeps setting it up. Todd can't do it. Gets frustrated. He's like, I can't do this. This is impossible. Which is fair because it's basically
really hard.
It's basically impossible to do. So there's a little bit of foreshadowing for later in the movie. Oh, they go on the radio show with Sweet Lou, who's great. And
Sweet Lou is the only adult I liked in the movie.
And
Grandpa.
Yes. Fair. He talks so much. And during it, they talk about how they're going to win. They get asked one question on the radio show. They literally go on the radio to get asked one question, and that's it, which is great.
I don't remember what the question was.
It was like, hey, you guys going to win?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we are going to win.
We are going to win. What's the other line from that video?
Yeah, we do have good defense.
What's the other kid when he's like going crazy?
I think I got my...
Oh, swagger back.
I got my swagger back.
I think I got my swagger back. Oh, man. I don't know how to describe this video for anyone, but... Great times. And so this is so after they go on the radio show, Alex tells his friends, hey, I'll meet you at the diner after. And he fucking ditches them and goes to Tony's Lasagna Palace, which is a new name for the place I just made up, but it sounds equally as cool.
And it's really impressive that he forgot about his friends because the diner is right across the street. So he could have just glanced at the diner and been like, oh yeah, I was going to meet my friends. Maybe even if I just walked over and asked if they want to join us.
Who do you think's the #1 patron at Tony's Lasagna Heaven?
Tony Soprano.
Oh, I was going to say Garfield.
Ooh, that would be a tough competition. Garfield versus Tony Soprano.
On a Monday.
All right, Garfield's got Mondays.
But he hates them. Oh, to make himself feel better,
Yeah.
he goes to Tony's Lasagna heaven.
Yes. That's the bright spot
I
in the
swear to
beginning of
God,
his week.
if it was called Garfield's Lasagna Heaven, I would have died. And this is when the movie becomes Brink.
Yeah.
It's when he ditches them to hang out with these new kids who, at the time, we think they like him. No spoilers yet. And he hangs out with them. He ditches them. And then eventually he goes to see them the next day at the bowling alley, I think. And they're clearly like disappointed that he kind of ditched them.
Yeah, I think this group, they handle it differently than Brink's friends. Brink's friends are
so
just like,
differently.
Sorry, Brink, you're out.
You're done.
Yeah.
We're not
friends
we're never
anymore.
Friends.
And
We are
Alex
never, ever, ever getting back together, is what they say.
And Alex's friends handle it differently and just say, hey, we missed you last night. Interesting that you're hanging out with all those people that used to make fun of us and not the people who you consider your friends and teammates. Okay, bye.
That is because Brink's friends are all alphas and Alex's friends are all betas.
Ooh.
I think that's what it comes down to.
I think we're going to have to do a full psychological study.
Okay.
Yeah.
Episode 27. And then, as you mentioned before, the bowling ball's the party at the bowling alley. Eventually, we have the bowling ball that comes about. Again, the timeline of this movie doesn't make much sense. It seems like the tournament's going to be like the next day for like 14 days in a row, and it just never happens.
This is very similar to Up, Up, and Away when they're picking the captain of the team that day, every day, at every practice.
Because I feel like they were like, oh, it's tomorrow night. And it's like, it's been like 14
a year.
days. When's this competition happening? So they have the bowling ball. Todd puts on some rock music instead of, jazz. He's wearing sunglasses. Alex makes a grand appearance. He's also wearing sunglasses and
not a bowling shirt.
We didn't mention he always wears bowling shirts that have like random people's names on them and stuff like that.
Which is pretty fun quirk, I'd say.
Very what?
Fun.
Oh, they said
quirk.
Funk. I was like, it's very funk. Yeah, I guess so.
A fun quirk.
Quirk. Now I see what you're saying. I thought it was funk cork, and I was like, I don't know what that is at all.
It's
the
finest wine.
And so Alex is acting all hoity-toity with his sunglasses and non-bowling shirt.
He's dressed like a cool kid now.
He's dressed in normal clothing. Ivan as a cool kid in normal clothing, I would say.
Which is what cool kids wear.
Yes, of course. And his friends are like, what the fuck is he doing? And they all leave the bowling ball. And we come to a sad moment in this movie. So the bowling ball's over. Everyone's leaving. Alex is taking out the trash. He goes over to the front and overhears Todd. Is Todd involved in this conversation? I don't think he is.
No, Todd's
he's
not involved.
You're right,
it's just Todd's friends.
Todd would not allow this to happen.
No, Todd would speak up.
It's Lauren and Todd's friends.
Who I don't know if they have names.
I don't know. They suck. Again,
yes, they do.
The worst villains in any movie so far. And they're talking about Alex. So it's like, oh, what do you think about Alex? Which is weird for them to talk about Alex in the first place. And they're like, we're sick of him. We can't wait till this is done with. So we don't have to hang out with him anymore. And it's like, what the heck? And Alex is obviously devastated by this.
Yes.
Despite the fact that in the beginning, he didn't care about what anyone thought about him.
But and then now, he's, spending more time with them. And he thinks that they're building a friendship just to find out that they really don't like him at all. Right. And can't wait to not hang out with him.
Right. And then Alex, over the next day, basically becomes very moody. It was like, I'm out of this. I'm not playing anymore. You guys go on without me.
So really what his takeaway from that was, it's not that I should appreciate the friends that I have. It's I should blow everyone off.
Yes.
Which is kind of a teenager thing to do.
Yes. And also during that time, they get new uniforms, or they get uniforms in the first place.
Oh my God.
And they're literally just red t-shirts with like printed stencil on them.
So I made a note of like the future of the school's name, and like so much is riding on this competition. The Mighty Apple is riding on this competition. And all they got for the bowling team are crappy t-shirts. And then like 2 seconds later, one of the teammates, I don't remember who, says, we have so much pressure on us and all they got is are these crappy t-shirts.
It's like the t-shirts like, I went to the Vatican and all I got was this crappy t-shirt.
That's basically what they said.
So Todd starts becoming friendlier with the other teammates. So he hangs out with Ken and Elisa. And then Todd eventually goes to Alex's house, talks to him, apologizes to him, says that they're really friends and that they should, go to the competition. And well, he wants Alex back. Todd and Alex are like super tight at this point.
So do you think that Todd found out what his friends were saying about Alex? Not that Alex overheard them, but just that they said something to him?
See, I don't think so. I don't think he knew, because I think he would have said something to his friends if that was the case.
Yeah.
Because he seems like he's not going to hold back for the most part. He's very open and, outgoing.
Confident. Okay. I was just wondering, do you think Todd ever found out how his original friends really feel about Alex?
I think we would have seen them with black eyes if he found out what they said. It's just so we're at this point, we don't know whether or not Alex is going to play. Alex has a talk with his dad where the dad goes over the issues between him and the mayor back in the day. That's where we find out with the double play. Yeah,
this is the check mark for father-son talk.
Yep. Were there any points where he overhears the conversation? Oh, he does overhear the conversation. Right. No parents involved in this one.
No,
but
different scenario.
Yes.
Well, different people involved, same scenario.
And money troubles for the bowling alley is Brink. This is Brink. I love it. It's Brink. And finally,
bowling Brink.
We get to the final match, which is it that night?
After years. And I thought it was the next
it was dark.
Day.
It may have been that night, though. Who knows? There's no clear indication either way.
This is 5 years down the road.
Yes, it's like midnight. And they decide to play some bowling.
Oh, and Todd kind of saves the day regarding the uniforms because he gets much cooler uniforms.
He gets the bowling shirts that, Alex likes to wear.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
And he gives everyone fun nicknames, which is really nice of him and very thoughtful.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
Todd's great.
Todd is great. Go Todd.
Great guy. And as you mentioned before, the mom and the grandpa come. Alex makes his grand arrival, comes back, and the first 50 bowls of this competition, everyone just gets strikes.
Yeah, these
greatest bowlers in
kids
the
are
world.
prodigies.
Yeah.
They're bowling prodigies.
Best bowlers I've ever seen.
I mean, it's not really that surprising from the Cobras.
Oh, that's great. And so at this point, East Appleton is leading in the 10th frame. Alex needs to get 3 strikes, and then Todd needs to get either a strike or a spare, at least a spare, to win the competition.
No pressure.
Right. Alex, strike,
Nails it.
strike, 3rd strike, no worries. He fucking kills it.
Yeah, he is cool as a cucumber, knows what he's doing.
So
then the East Appleton,
they get a strike.
Same thing happens. Yeah. Also cool as cucumbers.
Fuck East Appleton. That's what I gotta say. Oh, and Alex was fucking around before the last bowl. He's like, oh, should I do it backwards? Should I do it left-handed? And they're like, no, just fucking bowl it. What are you doing? Bowl a fucking strike.
That was his way of releasing his tension.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
And then in something that's totally unexpected.
They only went over this rule 27 times.
Out of left field completely.
Never saw it coming.
Todd gets a 7-10 split.
Oh my goodness.
Could you believe it?
I could not.
You were visibly shaking when this happened.
I looked at you and I was in shock.
It was like a jump scare. It was like in what was that movie? The Ring. It was like in The Ring in the beginning when they turned the chair around and the girl's face is all distorted. It was like that. It was like a terrible jump scare for you.
I screamed. We actually had to pause the movie.
Yeah.
I needed to collect myself.
Yeah. So then 5 hours later, we turned the movie back on and we saw that Dalia was substituting in for Todd because he can't get a 7-10 split. Again, if he got 9 pins, it would have went on to sudden death. So it would have been the worst thing in the world. He said to get 1 pin. No. Let's throw in Dalia. She's the math nerd. She's the super wizard.
She knows physics.
Yes.
Delia is physics.
And she has to get the 7-10 split. So she substitutes in. She stands up next to where you roll the ball. She puts the ball on the ground. She puts her finger in the ball. We don't see this at all before the movie. So this is completely
new.
Yeah.
Oh, she also licks her finger to check
the air.
Yeah,
yes,
check the air.
Before she put her finger in the ball.
Yes.
So that's good at least. And she spins the ball with her finger inside of it and then ever so slightly nudges it onto the lane. And the ball, all right, if you were to guess.
It would have taken less time for them to go into sudden death than for the ball 100%. To get to the pins.
Without exaggerating, how long do you think it was from when she pushes the ball to when it hits the pin the first time?
I would say around 5 minutes.
You think it was that long? I would have said 2 or 3 minutes, maybe.
Okay, you're probably right. It was probably 2 or 3 minutes, but it felt like longer.
And during this, Sweet Lou is announcing, because he's also the radio host and the announcer, and he's having a fucking aneurysm. I
was worried for his health.
He's on his deathbed, freaking out about what's going on.
Deathbed because it's been 20 years.
Yes. The ball's been going on
he's just an old man now.
The entire time. It was insane. Oh, and she walks back while it's still rolling. She doesn't even look. She walks back just smiling.
She's so confident. She's like, I did it. I nailed it, guys. You're welcome.
It's over. And the ball ever so slightly hits the first pin. And then the ball...
Well, they cut to something. They cut to a shot of Alex.
Yes.
And him doing a monologue. And then back to the ball.
Right. And the ball hits the first pin. And then the ball, not the pin,
is in a completely different spot.
Yes. And then it goes over. And it hits the other pin. Hits the other pin.
Yeah.
They both fall down. And they win the Mighty Apple.
Go West Appleton. Go West Appleton.
So their school's going crazy. So like we said before, there's a bed to name the school. They're like, let's not rename the school. Let's just call it Central Appleton, whatever the fuck it's called.
Which is really
what it should be called.
What it should have been called. And also, I don't think the mayors would have any say in what the school is called. I think that would be decided amongst the school boards.
Sure.
Anyway.
Well, the charter. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then another cool part is that, so they're like celebrating, and Alex was like, oh, let's get some jazz music on.
Yeah.
And then no one does anything. And he mentions it very softly. And then jazz music just starts playing in the bowling alley.
This was a prototype of Google Home or Alexa. Alexa, play jazz music.
Thank you. And everyone parties. Everyone starts bowling. And that's the movie.
Oh, and the very end of the movie is Alex doing a monologue, which he does a few times throughout the movie, just telling us the moral of the story in case we didn't get it, which was very nice of him.
All right. So what were your overall thoughts about this movie?
I liked it. I thought it was a fun movie. It, was definitely Brink in a bowling alley. But I thought it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I also enjoyed it. I think a lot of it's nostalgia. I think when we talked about this before, when we did our top 10 episodes, was the ones I've seen before. I kind of more of a like for. That does make sense, but yeah. And this very much like Brink, and I love Brink. So I think that really had a lot to do with why I really enjoyed this movie. And I think it still holds up pretty well. I mean, there's some stuff I wish I kind of did differently, but otherwise, very enjoyable, fun. Never, was like, oh, is this movie almost over? Just like an enjoyable, kids Disney movie.
As we're watching these movies, I'm finding that even though I did not watch them when I was a kid, there is still a nostalgia factor because, they keep bringing up things that I enjoyed when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like the Backstreet Boys and Savage Garden.
Not Aerosmith, though.
Yeah.
Not as much, at least.
Mostly Backstreet Boys. So that's kind of something interesting that I didn't expect going into this podcast in general, not just this movie.
Well, I'm glad we could, take you back to the early or late 90s, early 2000s.
Thanks.
We'll see if that continues throughout. All right, so let's get into our questions. What would you change about this movie?
So at first, before we, started talking about it, I wanted there to be an adult that wasn't awful. And I still want there to be an adult that isn't awful. But then as we were talking, I decided that more than that, I just want this movie to be dodgeball, but bowling.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
totally
same
fair.
Actors, same everything, but bowling.
That's a very fair point.
Yeah.
You want David Hasselhoff in this movie as a judge.
Yes, please.
A judge for bowling.
That's an interesting strategy. Let's see how it works out for them.
I like that they had judges in dodgeball.
Yeah.
Not only a ref, also judges. So my change was that I wish that his friends were more mad at him when he ditched them several times.
That's fair.
Like in Brink, they were like fairly pissed off.
Yes.
And here they were just like kind of like made some snide remarks and that was it. And then like they were like bummed when he left.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of would have been nice for them to stand up for themselves.
Yeah, totally.
Or at least, maybe not ditch him like they did in Brink, but at least say something more meaningful.
Yes. Totally agree.
If they had taken an active approach rather than the post-it on the refrigerator approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't even like that passive aggressive. It was just like 2 remarks and that was it. And they were like, oh, we're good. We're cool.
I don't think they were cool, but yeah, you're right. They didn't.
They were excited to see him at the end immediately. They never squashed the beef.
That's off screen. They're going to do that later. Yeah.
Okay. Alley Cats Strike 2. Strike back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please. Alley Cats spare.
Yes. Oh my God. All right. Your turn.
Who would you want to hang out with?
Okay. So I said Todd.
I had a feeling you were going to pick Todd.
Because I think that he was competitive, which I think would bring out, some like desire and like pushing hard to do things. But he's also like a cool guy, like got along with people, easy to talk to. People liked him. He didn't really have any enemies.
He's very personable. And he seems like a genuinely nice person.
Very charismatic individual at his age, especially at like 13 years old, wherever he was. So that was my choice. What was yours?
I picked Ken.
You picked Ken?
I picked Ken.
Interesting.
I feel like...
the one we know like nothing about.
Yeah. I feel like I want to get to know him more. I think that there's more to him that is worth getting to know. So yeah, I want to dig deeper into the Ken character.
Very, very interesting. Did you want to be the Barbie to his Ken?
Well, I don't know because I don't know him well enough.
Oh, okay. Maybe after a few times getting to know him better.
Yeah, well,
that's fair.
To be determined.
Oh my God. What was your favorite scene?
So I have 2.
Wow.
The first is really anything that Sweet Lou is in.
Oh, okay.
Because
great actor, by the way.
He says the most bizarre things. I wrote down one of them, and the bowling competition, when it's actually happening, he says, "The tension is so high, I can feel my spleen pounding."
He talks about his health failing 20 times during the ball going down the lane. That one scene.
So really anything that Sweet Lou is in, because he just, every line is a zinger. And then the other one is when Todd's friends, and I think Todd is with them, they're walking out of a convenience store, and the director was clearly just like, do some banter, have fun with it. And then they walk out and all they're saying is, yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was it.
And it was right after, I think, Alex and Kelly Cuoco were walking past also. So it was like them having a dumb conversation. And then the friends just walked out for no reason, also having a dumb conversation. And it was
not even a
pointless.
Conversation, just really, yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Just making exclamatory remarks. That was great. I totally forgot about that scene too. We didn't even discuss it. That's very funny.
What was your favorite?
I love the 7-10 split scene. It was the most memorable scene for me.
Which one? The one where Todd is practicing or the finale?
Obviously not when he's practicing. The finale, the 7-10 split.
The 7-10 montage.
It was the part of the movie I remember the most. It was what stood out to me by far over the last 20 years about this movie was the 7-10 split scene.
Do you dream about it?
Sometimes. And it's just so ridiculous. And again, Sweet Lou involved, talking about his health failing 1,000 times. And it's just so perfect, that scene. I love it.
I think both of our favorite scenes are top-notch excellent.
Oh, I'm glad you agree. Mm-hmm. And then in terms of shipping, you could start off.
So there's only one answer to this, and it's the right answer.
We'll see about that.
That is Todd and Alex.
You always ship the two male characters in every movie.
I see no issues with that. They're best friends. They bonded over bowling. Well, I don't know if they're best friends. They're really good friends by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
They bonded over bowling. They clearly have a connection, and I want to see their relationship blossom.
So well, first of all, this was kind of a joke, but I'm sorry, audience, for joking on the serious
How
podcast
dare
like
you.
this. My first one was Lauren, the friend, the girl who had the party,
Mm-hmm.
and the Mighty Apple.
Oh, that reminds me. The other thing that I would change is to have the actress of Lauren to have Kelly Coca play both
Oh, yeah.
Lauren and Elisa.
That'd been great.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
So that was my first one. But otherwise, this is kind of a lame. I'm sorry, guys. Kaylee Cuoco and Alex.
Boring.
Sorry.
And
And this
I don't
is-
think you are.
And this is one of the first movies where there was no romantic connection between any characters.
Yeah, and I think that's good. I think that's an important thing to show, that not everything has to be about romance, that
Right.
boys
There
and
was some
girls can just
flirting.
be fun.
There was some
There was a
flirting,
little flirting.
But other than that,
But that's,
Yeah.
not everything has to be about romance. Sometimes boys and girls can be friends.
even don't look under the bed
Had a kiss.
with a vampire. No, boogeyman. I'm sorry.
Boogeyman,
A boogeyman.
Sam.
I'm very sorry. All right. And now for hot seat. You want to start off?
You start off.
Okay. So what totally useless activity or thing are you very good at? Because in this one, it's bowling.
A totally useless thing that I'm good at. Oh man. Well, all the things that I'm good at are useful, which is why this question is so difficult.
Of course.
I'm really good at making friendship bracelets.
You've never once made me a friendship bracelet.
Do you want me to make you one? I
And
have
we've
some
been-
string in the basement.
And we've been friends for so long.
I will make you a friendship bracelet.
Thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
all I ask.
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked the question.
By the next episode, you will have a friendship bracelet.
I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
Well, it's because I've thought of bowling. I'm really good at bowling for no
Mhm.
reason because I never play it.
You went to bowling camp.
Eh,
You're a prodigy.
when I was like 12. And I'm really good at, so I played like softball, and randomly I was like, hey, let me try pitching. So I'm really good at throwing a ball underhand from the pitching mound and hitting just behind the plate. So I'm really good at those two things, which will have no benefits to me in my future life.
You're also good at darts, which is probably
Yeah,
from
yeah.
pitching.
And I never played darts.
Yeah.
And that's overhand. It wouldn't make any sense. Maybe
I
I'm
think
good
it's
at
just the aim.
maybe I'm good at like accuracy. I was good at skee ball too.
Yeah.
So it was like
you have good
accuracy
hand-eye
based,
coordination.
but just for like me
Very
not moving, accuracy based games. I'm also good at, what's that lawn game with the bean bags?
A cornhole?
Cornhole. I'm pretty good at cornhole too.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm good at those types of things. Again, no benefit to life.
All right. So we touched on this a little bit, but what was the biggest sport in your school? Middle school or high school, it doesn't matter.
Oh, interesting. I think the most popular one was probably football, if I had to say. I never like went to other sporting events. I never went to a basketball game. I maybe went to one football game ever. And there was like a night game. We got like lights or whatever. But besides that, I never went to anything. Besides like things I was involved in. What was yours?
Basketball.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because you didn't have a football team.
Yeah. We had a pretty good basketball team.
Okay.
I went to basketball games on occasion. The sports that I played, really no one went to those competitions.
Well, you did maybe running and tennis, right?
And skiing, yeah.
And skiing.
No
yeah,
one
yeah.
wants to go out and stand in the snow to cheer for skiing.
Real shocker there. We had some people come to our soccer matches. Well, not a ton, but I'm sure football had more people by far. There's also more players. Like on soccer, we only
That's
had like,
true. So even if it's just family, there's by default going
we
to be
had
more
like
people.
18 people on the team, but for football, there's 50 whatever the hell there
Mhm.
is. So I guess it kind of makes sense that way too. So now for my my favorite segment, of course, the
Mhm.
Alexis Bledel test. And again, this is anyone that's been in this movie and also in Gilmore Girls at any point in time. So the same guy who was the producer was in both. So this guy's been a producer for like every single DCOM movie so far. So it's a little ridiculous. And there was a guy.
Try to get him on the podcast.
We should. He looks ridiculous in his pictures, by the way. It's like spiky hair. It's fantastic.
Very 2000s.
And the other is the sound department person. His name is Tim Chilton, who did sound department work on both. And Chilton is the name of the school in Gilmore Girls. So I wonder if they named it after him.
He did such a good job that they...
After the fact, named the school after him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good for Tim.
So some fun facts, and one I definitely think you're going to be excited about. So let me get to those now.
I'm pretty excited.
So I'll start with some of the more boring stuff. So like we said, I think we mentioned it came out in 2000. And the director, Rod Daniel, also did Teen Wolf, Home Alone 4, which I didn't know existed.
I didn't know that existed either.
And Genius, which we've watched before.
Oh.
The mayor in this movie and his wife are married in real life.
That's cute.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. No wonder there was so much chemistry between them.
Yes, totally. And a fun fact about this movie is that at one point in time, the Wikipedia article for this movie had the longest plot summary of any movie on Wikipedia.
That is very impressive.
Of 4,266 words describing the plot of this movie. We should just read the entire thing, this whole movie.
We should.
Podcast.
Yeah. All right. Next podcast will just be us reading the Wikipedia entry for this movie.
And they interviewed the director, some like website, I think it was like Vulture, interviewed the director about this topic. He's like, yeah, I knew about it. And he made his own website called alleycatstrike.com, which has the full plot summary on it, which is very
awesome.
Funny. It's fantastic. As we mentioned before, so Alex is played by a guy named Kyle Schmid. He was in the Cheetah Girls, which is in a future movie. Have you heard of that one?
I have. The Cheetah Girls were popular for a while among kids when I was a children's librarian.
So that's another DCOM in the future. We mentioned before, Todd was in Coach Carter. Elisa Bowers is the character. Kaylee Cuoco, again, obviously, Big Bang Theory. And also The Flight Attendant, which Joanna and I would definitely recommend, which is fantastic on HBO Max. Tim Reed, the mayor. I thought this is funny. I don't know any of these movies. He's in so many Christmas-themed movies. He's in The Rooftop Christmas Tree, My Christmas Inn, Radio Christmas, Check Into Christmas, Baking Christmas, and A Welcome Home Christmas.
You know, he's just a Christmas kind of guy.
These are all movies, TV movies that he's in.
Good. You know, he has a niche.
Do you think he plays Santa in all the movies?
Hope so.
That'd be great. And this is the fun part. Are you ready for this?
I don't know.
So a character named Baron McKay in this movie, real name David Reel, is in the movie Mean Girls.
Who does he play in Mean Girls?
He plays Glenn Coco.
Good for you, Glenn Coco.
Glenn Coco, I believe, is in one scene in the movie when
they're handing out the candy.
Dressed as Santa, and he's like, Glenn Coco, you got a candy. Good for you, Coco.
I love that.
I was looking through his roles. And I saw Mean Girls, like, oh, interesting. And I saw the character name. It was like Glenn Coco. I was like, no fucking way is he Glenn Coco.
I didn't realize that. I thought, like, Santa just said a random name. I didn't realize that there was actually someone playing Glenn Coco.
So I watched the scene. You could see, like, the side of his head in that scene. You can't even see his face in the entire scene. It's so fucking funny.
We have to watch that on repeat.
Oh, no, of course.
Please.
Of course. All right. And then now for our predictions part. So for the last movie, well, during the last podcast, you said for this movie, you wanted it to be like the movie Cats or the show Cats, whatever that means.
I wanted to be like the Aristocats. I just wanted lots of cats.
Okay. You want a lot of cats. There were 0 cats. There was 1 cat actually on their uniform.
Yeah.
There was a cool cat
Alley
with
cats.
some shades on.
Yeah.
You said it was going to be like Romeo and Juliet involving street urchins who at some point rob a bank. So you weren't that far off.
I think parts, like individual parts of what I said were part of this movie. So like that, two friends, people from different groups would become friends.
Yeah.
So like the general
Like Johnny
idea,
Tsunami, urchins, and what are the other ones called again?
Skies
and urchins. Yeah.
So the broad idea I had right.
Yes.
But the specifics I had completely wrong.
Okay.
But after we stopped recording and you were like, think about it more, I was like, oh, it's a bowling movie. Yeah. I'm
sorry. So this next one's, I think it's going to be pretty tough. This next movie is called Rip Girls.
Rip, R-I-P? Not
capitals. Capital R, lowercase I, lowercase p. Not like Rest in Peace. Rip Girls.
Oh my God. This is a hard one.
That's what she said.
Zing. I'm sorry, this is a difficult one. So it's definitely the main characters are girls. I'm going to say with confidence that the main character is a girl.
That's a good shout.
Yeah.
I'll throw some questions at you.
Okay.
How many protagonists are there?
2.
Both female?
Yes. They're rivals.
What is the conflict in the movie?
Well, first I'm going to say that both of these girls have extremely different fashion sense.
Is one rich and one poor?
Maybe. I don't think there's going to be a significant difference socioeconomically.
Is one popular and one's unpopular?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
And what brings them into connection with one another in this movie?
It's going to be a walk-off.
A walk-off?
A walk-off.
Oh my goodness.
No.
In this economy?
Maybe someone new moves into town and they...
Not either of them.
Not either of them.
Person.
Like a third person.
Okay.
And I don't know how it comes about, but it might be like an enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing.
So they
team up for some reason.
So both girls dislike this third person that came in.
Yes. And it might not happen right away. Maybe this third girl betrays one of them in some way or both of them in some way. I don't know. But they're going to team up.
Okay. What is the climax of the movie?
There's going to be a fashion montage, and that's the climax.
Okay.
They're going to make their own clothes.
Weird. So this montage is the climax of the movie. Okay.
I think in Disney Channel original movies, the climax is always a montage.
Okay.
There was a pretty good bowling montage.
Of course.
In
a lot of music.
Alley Cats Strike.
Ton of music in this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
So the premise of this movie is basically fashion related.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Interesting interesting thoughts.
And they get sucked into a portal under the bed.
Yes, of course. Anything else you want to mention about this movie before we go?
Not about the movie, but about the podcast.
Okay.
Because it is December 31st, I want to ask you, what are you most proud of about this podcast since we started this year?
I would say I'm most proud that we are still doing it.
Me too.
The podcast, that is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're most proud of?
Yeah, and I think just that we started and we're growing, and I think each episode is better than the last, and we're trying to improve.
Yeah, I think we're about 6 or 7 months in, so
yeah.
I agree.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Can't wait to continue.
Do you want to go over how people could reach us or find us?
That's a really good idea. So if you would like to reach out with a suggestion, a question, a comment, whatever, you can email us at dconoobies@gmail.com.
And that's Noobies, Noobies.
Yeah. The best way to spell it.
Yes, of course.
And if you just want to follow us on social media, we have an Instagram that is really awesome. And it is at Disney Channel Original Noobies. So give us a follow.
Hit us up.
Yeah.
HMU.
HMU. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, give us a review. Everything helps.
Any parting words for our audience?
No. Strike. I don't know.
Anything Sweet Lou said?
I'm not going to leave you with what Sweet Lou said, but what Todd's friend said, and yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Bye-bye.